Hello, Virgo. You did something, or you're about to do something, and you might not even realize how significant it is. Uh, you might think it's small, might think it's nothing, might think it's just a choice you made without much thought. But I'm seeing something different. I'm seeing that this one move, this one decision, this one action, it's a domino. It's the first piece falling that's going to trigger everything else. Your whole life is changing because of this. Not gradually, not eventually, but now, starting from this one thing. And the wild part, you might not see it yet. You might be standing there thinking nothing's different, thinking you're still in the same place you've always been. But underneath, beneath the surface, everything's shifting. The foundation is cracking open. The old structure is dissolving, and something entirely new is being built. All because of this one move. So let's explore this. What this move might be, why it matters so much, how it's creating ripple effects you can't see yet, and what you need to understand about being in the middle of life changing transformation that started with one single decision. Take what resonates here. This is about recognizing the power of your choices. You remain in control of your life, always. This is simply an invitation to understand that what feels small to you might actually be everything. Let me start by asking you something. What did you do recently that felt significant? What choice did you make that required courage? What boundary did you set? What conversation did you have? What application did you submit? What relationship did you walk away from? What new thing did you try? Because I feel like for most of you, you already know what I'm talking about. There's something you did maybe in the last few weeks, maybe in the last few days, and when you did it, you felt something shift. You felt something click. Even if you couldn't explain it, even if it seemed like a small thing, you felt it. That's the move. That moment when you chose differently than you've always chosen. When you said yes to something you'd normally say no to, or said no to something you'd normally tolerate. When you took action instead of just thinking about it. When you trusted yourself enough to make a change even though you were scared. That move, and it's changing everything. You know what I'm picking up on most strongly? The sense that this wasn't random. This wasn't luck. This was you finally being ready. You've been in a process, you've been growing, you've been healing, you've been learning, and all of that was building toward this moment, building toward the readiness to make this one move that you couldn't have made a year ago, 6 months ago, maybe even a month ago. But now, now you could, now you did, and that timing, it's perfect, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Because here's the thing about life changing moves, they don't always feel life changing in the moment. They feel scary or uncomfortable or uncertain. They feel like a risk you're not sure you should be taking. It's only later when you look back, when you see what that one decision set in motion, that's when you understand. That's when you realize, oh, everything changed because I did that. My whole trajectory shifted because of that one moment of courage. And you're in that moment right now. You just might not see it yet. Let me paint you a picture of what this might look like. Maybe you finally left a job that was draining you. And right now, it feels terrifying. Right now, you're wondering if you made a mistake. But that one move, it's going to lead you to an opportunity you never would have found if you'd stayed. It's going to open a door that was closed as long as you were playing it safe. It's going to introduce you to people, experiences, possibilities that couldn't reach you in your old situation. Your whole career is about to transform because you had the courage to leave what wasn't serving you. Or maybe you ended a relationship, finally walked away from someone who was never going to choose you the way you needed to be chosen. And right now it hurts. Right now you're grieving. Right now you're wondering if you'll ever find love again. But that one move, it's creating space. It's clearing the path. It's making room for the person who's actually right for you. The person who couldn't show up as long as you were still holding on to the wrong person. Your whole love life is about to shift because you finally chose yourself. Or maybe you started something, applied for something, invested in something, said yes to an opportunity that scared you. And right now, you're dealing with imposter syndrome. Right now, you're wondering if you're qualified, if you're ready, if you can actually do this. But that one move, it's setting everything else in motion. It's triggering a cascade of events that will prove to you that you were more ready than you thought. Your whole life is about to expand because you were brave enough to try. Um, Let me slow down here because I want to address something. Some of you might be reading this and thinking, but I don't feel like anything's changing. I don't feel like I made any significant move. And if that's you, pay closer attention because sometimes the most significant moves are the internal ones. Maybe you shifted a belief. Maybe you released a pattern. Maybe you forgave someone, including yourself. Maybe you made a decision in your mind and heart that hasn't manifested outwardly yet, but that's already changing your energy. Those internal moves, and they count, they matter, and they create external shifts that you'll start seeing soon. So don't dismiss the quiet moves. Don't underestimate the power of internal change. Let me ask you another question. Have you been noticing small things shifting, small opportunities appearing, small conversations happening, small synchronicities occurring? Is less than has shown. Zero hash is greater than, because I feel like for many of you, the evidence is already there. It's just small right now. It hasn't reached obvious proportions yet. But if you pay attention, if you really observe what's been happening since you made that move, you'll see the ripples. You'll see the beginning of the transformation. Someone reaching out unexpectedly, an idea that won't leave you alone, a door opening that you didn't even know you wanted to walk through. These aren't random. These are consequences of your courage. These are results of that one move you made. You know what else I'm picking up on? The sense that this move required you to disappoint people, to go against expectations, to choose yourself when other people wanted you to choose them. And that might have been the hardest part, not the decision itself, but dealing with other people's reactions to your decision. Their disappointment, their judgment, their attempts to make you feel guilty for choosing what's right for you. But you did it anyway. You made the move anyway. And that's huge. Because people pleasing keeps us stuck. Prioritizing everyone else's comfort over our own growth keeps us small. But when you finally choose yourself, when you finally prioritize your own well being and your own path, even when it upsets people, that's when everything changes. That's when you step into your power. That's when your life becomes yours instead of an extension of everyone else's expectations. So, if you lost people when you made this move, that's okay. That's part of it. The wrong people fall away when you make the right choices, and that creates space for the right people to enter. Drop a comment if you know exactly what move I'm talking about. If you made a decision recently that felt scary but necessary. Because I think when we share these moments, when we acknowledge them, we give ourselves credit for our own courage. And we need to do that more. We need to celebrate our brave choices instead of minimizing them. Let's sit with this for a moment. What if every major transformation in your life has started with one move? One decision that seemed small at the time, but that changed the entire trajectory? Think about it. Think about the times your life shifted significantly and trace it back. There's always a moment, always a choice, always one move that started everything. And you're in one of those moments right now. This is one of those pivot points that you'll look back on years from now and recognize as the moment everything changed. So honor it, respect it. Don't diminish what you did just because it's not obvious yet how big it is. Trust that the full impact will reveal itself in time. You know what else I'm sensing? There might be a temptation to go back, to undo the move you made, to return to what was familiar even though it wasn't serving you. Because change is uncomfortable, the unknown is scary, and sometimes our fear tries to convince us that staying stuck was actually better than facing uncertainty. But don't listen to that fear. Don't let it pull you backward. You made this move for a reason. Trust that reason. Trust yourself. Going back won't give you peace, it'll just give you regret. It'll give you the pain of knowing you had the courage to change and then chose comfort over growth. And that's a harder pain to live with than the discomfort of moving forward into the unknown. Let me share something with you about how life-changing moves work. They create what I call a cascade effect. One thing leads to another, which leads to another. You make one brave choice, and suddenly you're presented with another opportunity that requires another brave choice. And then another and another. And before you know it, you're living a completely different life. Not because of one magic moment, but because of a series of courageous decisions that built on each other. So the move you made, it's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the first in what will likely be a series of moves. And each one will require courage. Each one will require trust. But each one will also get easier because you're building momentum. You're building evidence that you can do hard things. You're building confidence in your own ability to navigate uncertainty. And that confidence, that's what changes everything. That's what transforms your life. Let me ask you one more question. What becomes possible now that you made this move? What options are available to you that weren't available before? Is less than hashone. Zero hash is greater than. Because I feel like this move, it's opened doors. It's created pathways. It's made things possible that couldn't have happened if you'd stayed where you were. So look around. What's different? What's new? What's emerging that you need to pay attention to? Because opportunity doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up quietly, almost invisibly. And if you're not paying attention, if you're too busy second guessing your decision or worrying about what you left behind, you might miss it. You might miss the very thing that your brave move made possible. You know what else I'm picking up on? This move might have shocked people. People who thought they knew you, who thought they could predict what you'd do. And suddenly you did something they didn't expect. You showed up differently. You chose differently. And that might have disrupted their perception of you, might have challenged their assumptions about who you are and what you're capable of. Good. Let them be surprised. Let them see you differently because you are different. You're not the person who would have stayed stuck just to keep everyone comfortable. You're not the person who would have chosen safety over authenticity. You're someone who makes brave moves. And that's who you're becoming more and more with each decision. Let me offer you something practical about navigating this transformation. First, document where you are right now. Write down what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, what you're afraid of, what you're hoping for. Because months from now, when your life looks completely different, you're going to want to remember this moment. You're going to want to remember that you were brave even when you were scared, that you moved forward even when you couldn't see the full path. Second, find support. Talk to people who get it, who've made their own brave moves, who understand what it feels like to choose growth over comfort. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to process all of this in isolation. Find your people. Let them witness you. Let them remind you that you're doing the right thing when your fear tries to convince you otherwise. Third, stay present. Don't get so focused on where you're going that you miss where you are. This transition period, this in-between space, it matters. It's teaching you things. It's building something in you. So don't rush through it. Don't wish it away. Be here. Learn what this moment has to teach you. Fourth, celebrate small wins. Every day you don't go back, that's a win. Every time you choose yourself again, that's a win. Every small piece of evidence that this was the right move, acknowledge it, celebrate it, because those small wins add up. They build momentum. They remind you that you're on the right path. Let's sit with this one more time. Your whole life is changing, not because of external circumstances, not because of luck, not because someone else did something for you, is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than. But because you made one move, one brave, necessary, courageous move, and that move is setting everything else in motion. It's triggering transformation that will ripple out into every area of your life. Your relationships will change. Your career will change. Your sense of self will change. Your confidence will change. Your possibilities will change. All because you did this one thing. So trust it. Trust yourself. Trust that you knew what you were doing even if you didn't know what you were doing. Trust that your courage matters. Trust that this move, this decision, this choice, it's the beginning of your whole life opening up in ways you couldn't have imagined. Take what resonates from this reading, leave what doesn't. And remember